Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode of In My Opinion. My name is John,
My name is Lester.
and today
Yes.
we are back
We are back. What were you talking
to
about,
talk
Joy?
about what? To talk about what?
We are talking about something that's a little bit more serious. I think, okay, I want to apologize before we start this video. That I think IMO has been known, it's like we are known for being very logical and we have very logical arguments to certain topics. But this topic is something that I feel like I will inevitably get a bit emotional on. So I do apologize if that's the case. But it's something that's very close to heart. It's about especially the recent celebrity like suicide cases lah. So for the people who are not aware, basically one of the Terrace House cast members actually allegedly committed suicide, but um it's kind of it's like more or less confirmed lah. There's a lot of things that point towards that she's committed suicide, but I think the official report is not out yet, so we'll just wait for that. But
Yeah, for those of y'all that don't know who we are referring to, okay, it is this lady called Hana Kimura.
yes,
Okay, very recently made headlines in the news and stuff
Mhm.
like that because she appeared in the famous TV show, the famous series Terrace House lah.
yeah,
So today we're here to talk about that.
yeah, and yeah. So for those people who also don't know, basically she has been getting quite a lot of I would say online hate, and that's one of the at least what's reported the triggers for her to want to take her life lah. So
Yeah.
this episode, I think I want to talk a little bit about how different groups of people can learn from this. I think that's what we need to do. It's look, there's one person lost her life already, and before that, a lot of other people have really especially celebrities have committed suicide. It's committed suicide. There's this
All the time.
K-pop idols that K-pop
Yeah,
idols that do it.
a whole bunch of K-pop idols.
Yeah, and I mean even not K-pop idols like comedians and a lot of people are especially celebrities are committing suicide, and I feel like there's a very wrong message being sent in each suicide case lah. So let's talk about it.
Let me just preface this this whole topic that we're going to talk today. Let me just pause everything and let me just address whoever is watching today's episode before we carry on now. Okay, that if you feel right depressed, you have suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, right? Please look for someone for help. Okay, don't be afraid of mental health. Don't be afraid of being judged. Don't be afraid of seeking help, because I think seeking help is more important, right, than being judged. And I think there's no better time than now lah. So I believe Alistair, you can leave some resources in the description box.
I will.
Yes,
go down
so,
and check it out.
For those of y'all that need help, I'm very, very, very proud to say that in Singapore, we actually have a lot of avenues that you can try to use to seek help. So please do. There's no waiting for right time. The right time is now. Okay, let's go into today's topic.
Let's go. Okay, so to preface this entire thing as well, for those people who don't know, I suffer from anxiety. It has been I've been diagnosed since I would say 4 years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, and I've been off medication for 2 to 3 years already. So it's something that I struggled with. There's a lot of stigma that I've faced, and I'll probably go through it as I talk about these talking points. And I'm in a better place now, and I hope that in fact, if you have any problems, if you want to DM me, you think that's easier than seeking a therapist, go ahead and DM me. I'll reply you lah. So yep.
Yeah.
So
I am one of those lucky individuals that don't really have any diagnosed mental health issues. So today's episode, I'll try to understand and give my opinion a little bit. But at the same time, right, if you're require a listening ear or whatever, right, for those of y'all that have DM me before, you all understand I try my best to reply everyone. But I cannot always. But if you all ever need someone to talk to, I can try my best to talk to you. But in the event that if you all talk to me and then you all find no help in that direction, please, find someone professional.
Yes. Okay. So we'll be okay. So I've split this episode into 4 different groups of people who I feel have a lot to learn from celebrity suicides or suicides in general or mental health in general. In fact, actually, recently just passed the Mental Health Awareness Month just passed. So I think this is a nice time to talk a little bit about it.
It's the one that they on all the blue light one, right?
Yes, I think so. To be
It's
honest
like they
with you.
on all the blue light and then
Yeah.
as if that does a lot kind, right?
I
I'm
mean,
sorry, I'm not calling
baby
anyone out,
steps, baby steps, baby
but
steps.
no, but okay. I just want to put it out there that
Yes.
personally, right, okay. I mean, if you're not happy, you all can say. But like personally, right, I am not a fan of people who like do a certain inconsequential action in support of something that is happening.
Okay, yeah. I get what
So
you mean.
like
The clapping.
I would say that a more prolific one, it is definitely a good cause to bind people together. But clapping for healthcare workers in your own home is not something that has any benefit to society.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Likewise for uh, major corporations and whatever, right? Just switching on blue light or whatever in support of mental health, right, does nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think, besides doing all these things, which show that there is a community that people who are
Mm,
suffering can turn to, besides doing
yeah.
all this, to show that doors are open,
Mm,
right? All the behind the scenes are the one that actually matters, not the
yeah.
my doors are open, but then you come in, the house is empty.
Correct. Yeah. I think
Okay.
that's important. I think we're not exactly shaming them for doing the blue light thing.
No, I'm not shaming it. I'm just
It's
saying I
just
don't
you have to do
agree
extra
that like,
lah.
yeah, correct.
You have to do
So
above and beyond.
in fact, right, I feel that right, the only reason you deserve to partake in these kind of activities whereby the blue light lah, or telling people that my doors are open, hey, you can always come and approach me, right?
Yeah.
Is if you already have the groundwork, the infrastructure, and the ability to help these people. If
Yeah.
not, right, you're just like it's just a publicity stunt.
It's like CSR and then they just
It's
pat
like
themselves on the back.
I can shout from my balcony now. It's like, hey, everybody, please come for free food. I love everyone.
I get
Then
what you mean.
then if some poor guy comes here and then I don't have the free food, then that's just a publicity stunt. That
Yep.
serves absolutely no purpose.
Yeah.
Because I feel the shouting thing, right? The publicity, is the last thing that has to be done if you're intentionally trying to help people.
I agree. I think everything needs to be
Mm.
there. The publicity is obviously important, but like the foundation needs to be there lah. Okay,
Yes.
so we have 4 different groups. Let's start with the first group, which I feel like is the like one of the most important groups, which is the people who don't understand. Like the people who are lucky enough to not have a mental illness. I don't
That's
blame
me.
Yeah, I don't blame anyone
Yeah.
for not being able to understand. Because here's the thing. I think it's a great thing that you don't understand. Like you don't have the actual experience to go through to like be able to like feel it in your heart when people tell you that they have anxiety or they have depression. But I do think that there's a problem. I won't say it's a large majority of people, but there's still a problem of like people being very unaccepting and very dismissive of the problem. So like for John, right, I know this because he's my supervisor. I mean, John has known that I have anxiety for like since the dawn of time lah. So like it's not something that he actively like discriminates against me about, or like he actually like supports me quite a bit. He understands that like sometimes I'm just down, and he understands that there are some things that he won't be able to get fully, but he's there to support me. So that was my time in the Smart of God. I think that's the right way to do it. But there are a lot of people nowadays, especially like especially in the army, especially because like I used to be in the army. Like I mean, we all served in NS, right? So I was going through anxiety in the army. I remember one of my like army peers said something along the lines of like, "Wow, you got MC because of anxiety. Wow, I wish I got anxiety also." And like that like hurt me, because like that's dismissive about my problem. That's like being like flippant about it and everything. So I think that's the number one thing, is don't be dismissive. And this can be shown even in the Hana suicide. There are like people who Straits Time comments actually screenshot, like for the first time in like damn long, Straits Time comment actually posted a very serious post about this. So they actually screenshotted some comments from the Straits Time article, and the comments were saying like, "Wow, if she cannot take the hit, then why is she a celebrity?" Or like, she cannot take a hit, then why is she putting her front in the spotlight? She's just like weak. But like, why are you giving her hate? Like, like why can't you just be nice about it? I mean,
I think it's very unfortunate what you highlighted here, because like there is this attitude in Singapore of like internet superiority, whereby people say these comments in passing, right, without giving it much thought. And like I don't know how crazy it is, but if I want to put it in perspective, right, these people are currently shitting on somebody who is already not of this world.
Mm.
That makes no logical sense.
Yeah.
That's like me throwing shade at Gandhi for having
Yes.
no hair or something like that.
Man.
This
And it's
person
very
is
sad.
not here. No, firstly, this person is not here anymore, right? What are you trying to do? Secondly, right, for a society of Asians
Yeah.
that have this that used to hold this moral of respect very high,
Mm-hmm.
it's very, very unfair that you're doing this to somebody who has just lost their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you think about it, like you can say all you want about and then say that this is my opinion, I'm just voicing out and say that, like, oh, if you cannot handle the fire while you step in the kitchen, blah 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 blah. Nobody needs this kind of unwarranted comments during tragedies like this.
It's not constructive.
You know, there are three. I feel that whenever a situation happens regarding somebody's life, there are three ways you can react.
Mm-hmm.
First is negatively,
Yeah.
right, towards the person. The other one is empathetically,
Yes.
and the last one is
Just shut up.
I can't find a nice word for it, but basically it's the do nothing,
Yeah.
right? So I prefer I feel that, like, in our society, right, there is a very strong preference to the do nothing, which is great.
Yeah.
It's just another day, which is blah blah blah. It's just life. But I feel that there are just a very select few that choose to react negatively, and I think that is very unfortunate, because like I feel that for a person that has already lost their life, right, you must not forget that this person carries with him or her, right, a lot of other connections that value that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And when you cast this type of negative comments, right, you may influence these people, and bring them to a darker place. Let me give you an example. Maybe if I draw the story clearer for you all to understand. So if, let's say, we talk about Hana, right?
Yeah.
So she's a Japanese star. She is a star of Terrace House. She's also a wrestler, right?
Yeah.
What if there is this little 11-year-old child who aspires to be a wrestler and has just lost her idol?
Yeah.
And then she is exposed to comments like, oh, instead of people giving respect or or mourning for her hero, right? They see people shitting on someone who has died. What do you think this child will learn?
It sends the wrong message, lah.
It sends a terrible message. And then
Yeah.
I feel that we should take this thinking one step further. What if that's your daughter? Right? What
Yeah.
if that's your child? And then your child is not the sort that will be very upfront with how she's feeling.
Yeah.
And because of what her parents said, your daughter is also one that follows in the footsteps of being misunderstood and decides to take her own life. How would you feel about that?
I don't blame anyone for not understanding, because we all grow up differently. Maybe you have grown up in a rougher background, and like mental health issues are just not something that you feel like you can deal with. So you feel like everyone else who have mental health issues are like semi-privileged. I don't blame you for thinking that. I don't blame you for not fully understanding why this is a problem. But what I think we all should do, just as like human beings, is just to, even if you don't understand, don't dismiss it. Accept it for what it is, and just try to empathize, lah. I think that's the most important.
All I can say is I feel that what we really require a lot more is empathy.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times, right, people feel like, there is no need for people to understand. And like I feel that pretending to understand might be more detrimental. But being empathetic does not mean you have to 100% understand.
Correct. Yes.
When you care for someone, right, you don't necessarily understand their plight, because not all plights are laid out bare in front of you and obvious for you to see. But if you empathize with someone, right, just simply by, let's say, providing a presence, right, is more than enough for a lot of people, especially when it comes to mental illness.
Yes.
Sometimes I fall into this category of accidentally trying to offer too many solutions. And I feel that as somebody who exists in society like that, right, a lot of the times when people are suffering, they don't want to hear your solution.
yeah, from experience, let me tell you, it doesn't help at all.
Nobody wants you to explain the situation better than they understand it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Mm.
Okay, it's like as if, right, you fall down and then you cut your leg, and then your mom tells you to drink apple vinegar because that is what she believes help. That's not what you want to hear.
Yeah. Mm.
That's not what you want to hear. And it's the same for mental illness. I can't draw a better analogy, but like I've come to realize that sometimes people just want you to listen and
Yeah.
not to have to offer solutions
Advice.
because
Mm.
that's not what they want. And I
Yeah.
feel that the best we can do is to empathize and encourage them to find the right solutions.
Yes. And just to put it in perspective, right, I just did a quick like Google search. So 1 in 7 people in Singapore actually has experienced a mental disorder in their life before. So if you think about it, your friend circle, let's say 7 people, there's a good chance that one of them probably has gone through something. So that really puts everything in perspective. And also, suicide is the leading cause of death between ages 10 to 29 in Singapore. So it's quite a bit of a problem. And I mean, if you put it in terms of like, hey, my friend might be going through this, I think that maybe might be a bit better as compared to like viewing someone that's like just on the screen. So I would say try to empathize with people like they're your friend, like
Yeah.
they are there with you and everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's the most important thing.
No, and I think one more very powerful thing that happens with empathy that people always forget, right, is that with empathy, right, you also appear to be more inviting to people.
Yeah.
And as a result, right, if more people think that way, right, whenever people suffer from any kind of illness, be it mental illness, right, they understand that the community is never against them. People are not worried of other people. You know, and when you are not worried of other people, when you're not worried of other people's opinion, it's always easier to go and get professional help.
Can focus on
If the
yourself.
whole of Singapore, right, if the whole of Singapore thinks that mental illness is the same as the flu, right, you pass the same judgment to a mentally ill person as the same judgment you pass to someone who has the flu, right?
Yeah.
Then that will be the ideal state, because when someone gets the flu, you don't judge them as less of a person. You just tell them, please go see a doctor.
Yeah, correct.
And that should be the ideal response that we have for people with mental illness. We shouldn't shun them because we don't shun people for having the flu.
Yeah, it's just a normal illness.
You shun, yeah, exactly. Right. And like, I want people to, I feel that like after I watched some of the videos that you did for like our fight, right, was that like mental illness and illness are all, you don't want to get one.
No one wants to get mentally ill.
You can just imagine mental illness like normal illness, like you suddenly kena, right? So when you accidentally fall sick, what do you want? You want care, concern, and recovery.
Yeah, it's the
Same.
same. It's the same. It's really not that much different.
Yeah.
And I think lastly, like for this group of people, I would say, especially for celebrity suicides or like actually suicides in general, I would say there's the media often portrays there's like a one reason they commit suicide. Like, oh, this person like failed an exam and then she commits suicide. Or like this person, her boyfriend broke up with her, then she commits suicide. But like oftentimes, right, suicide doesn't just happen from one trigger. There's a lot of things that happen probably prior to it. Maybe the person is mentally ill to begin with. Maybe the person had a rough childhood. There's so many things that led up to their suicide. And I implore everyone to like go and try to find out more lah. Because it's very easy to think of it in the Hana thing, like, wow, she get a bit of hate comment that she commits suicide already. But it's not just she get a bit of hate comment, she commits suicide. It's probably so much hate comments from very, very long ago. Who knows before whether she has like any mental challenges. Who knows whether her family background is okay. These sort of things you don't know what. So I'll say try to find out, and if you cannot find out, there's not information there, then don't assume that it's just because of this one problem. And just need to try to find out more lah. So that's for the people who don't understand. So the next group of people that I want to talk to, which is also very important, is the people who are currently suffering from mental illness. So I'll say, as what John mentioned, the most important thing is like, don't be ashamed of yourself. Don't be ashamed of your mental illness. And I think from experience, once you get past that shame, right, recovery gets a lot faster already. Once you start to not be ashamed of yourself. I'll say try to find a community that will support you and accept you. And that's the most important thing as well. There are a lot of people who believe that they are very alone in this problem. And it's actually a psychological phenomenon called pluralistic ignorance. So it's basically this phenomenon that like whatever you go through, you feel like you're the only one going through. But like everyone thinks that same way. So in a weird way, everyone is going through the same thing, but everyone thinks that they are going through it alone. So I'll say that you're definitely not going through it alone. There are a lot of people like me who are fighting it with you as well. So just do your best and fight a little longer. Go and seek like professional help as well. And when it comes to suicide, right, I think there's like a very fine line between being accepting of mental health and glorifying mental health and suicide. And I think that's something that people with mental health issues need to like be aware of. So there's like this very warped thinking where like people will say that, oh, because you're scarred, because of your past, because of your mental health, you are beautiful, or you're a good human being. Here's the thing, you're a good human being even without your mental health. Don't hold that worth because you feel like I am good because I'm anxious, or I'm good because I'm depressed, or I'm good because I feel a lot. You are good even without it. And that's something that you need to be able to understand. Don't glorify your mental health issues, and don't think of it as like a very essential part of you. And I know that that's a big step, but eventually you'll start to understand that you are still a wonderful person without it. And from the point of view of suicide, actually, I want to quote a 21 Pilot song that I'll link, and they actually said something along the lines of like, basically they're talking about the glorification of suicide and about how like celebrities who commit suicide unfortunately, unintentionally glorify suicide as a method of like revenge, of a method of weaponry. So he said the lyrics is, I'm not disrespecting what was left behind, just playing that it, which is suicide, does not get glorified. Maybe you swap out what is that we hold so high. Find your grandparents or someone of age. Pay some respects for the path they have paid, to life they have dedicated, and now that should be celebrated. So I think it's a very fine line between glorification and accepting. And I think you have to understand that like suicide is not a way to get out. It's not an option. It's not something that you should be considering. And unfortunately, like through like even Netflix shows like 13 Reasons Why, they portray suicide as a weapon, as like a way to say like, I'll teach them. Like you bully me, right? Then I'll commit suicide, see how you live. Like, no, don't like try to actively block that message out of your brain. Yeah. I think that's the two most important things for like people who are suffering from mental health illnesses.
Yeah. I also want to share from my personal opinion, okay, for especially those who are suffering from mental issues. You must understand that your life is always bigger than these issues.
Yes.
So if you ever reach the point whereby you feel these issues are bigger than your life, right? Please find professional help, because that is the point in your life where you know that you absolutely must find help. You know, especially when your problems start to get as big as your life.
Yeah.
Remember, okay, always remember that your life is bigger than any issue. So if you start to see that your issues are almost as big as your life, it is the litmus test, the indicator that you need to seek help now. Because when this help comes, I tell you, a lot of times, right, I've spoken to some of my friends who have mental illness, right? When they receive help, it's suddenly it's like as if a whole new world is open to them, and then they're like, it's like wait, I can do this? That kind of realization.
It's true.
This moment of realization is what you actually need. And then you will start to realize that, hey, actually, yes, it's true. My life is bigger than my problems. And then through more help, you may even overcome those problems. And that's why I encourage you to always find professional help, because sometimes you trap yourselves within your issues and you make the issues look as if it's bigger than your life, which is dangerous. And I feel that, for people who are suffering, right, you must always use that as your compass. Use this sentence. If you remember nothing that I've said, then just remember this one issue, this one sentence. Your life is bigger than your issues. And if your issues start to get as big as your life, it is time to find help.
Yes. And surround yourself with people who like take your problems seriously, but not like they still support you healthily lah. So they don't like just feed you alcohol. They don't like dismiss it. They don't say like, "Hey, man up, man," or like for girls like, "Hey, why you so sad all the time?" That kind of thing. If you find once you find, and there are people out there like, trust me, I have like wonderful friends, and they are the part of the reason why I got this far. So there are definitely people there, and if you've managed to find this group of people, right, like, stick to them and like hold them close. And I think this is a fight that is not just for you to fight, and like your family, your friends, your therapist, your psychiatrist, they're all fighting this fight with you. And
Yes.
don't insist on fighting it alone, because it's just like fruitless, like it's futile. Like there's no point.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
accept help, and trust me, it will be a lot better, because I've gone through it as well. And yeah, so I think along those lines, right? I'm going to talk about media, because I talk about the glorification of mental health. I think this media thing, like John and I can talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'll say that media has a very big part to play, especially in the whole glorification of mental health thing. So I talked a little bit about like 13 Reasons Why, the Netflix show. So for those people who don't know what 13 Reasons Why is, it's basically...
I've not watched it actually.
I didn't either. But apparently it's very triggering, and it has been like criticized as being very like basically glorifying suicide and like mental health lah. So the story plot is about this girl who committed suicide, and she left like voice notes to everyone who has played a part in her suicide. So like the person who raped her, the person who rejected her, whatever. Then they make them all go on like some wild goose chase to like find out why she died. And like I get that they're trying to like raise awareness for mental health, but they're also doing it a little bit wrong. There's a lot of like, I'm very sure people who got out of that, there's some people who got a wrong message out of that like that, oh, I can just commit suicide and like these people will understand, like these people will know, like they will learn their lesson because I commit suicide. And I think a lot of people actually resonate with that message. And I think that's wrong. I think there's a very fine line with being relatable and actually glorifying these problems. So I'm not trying to say like don't make your content sad, or don't make your content like real, because you should do that, because part of how you'll be able to touch someone's heart is to be able to relate to them. So I'm not saying make a happy, hopeful film for the sake of it, because a lot of times happy, hopeful films don't relate very well, especially to people who are going through mental health problems, because to them it's like you're being fake. So but I say that there's this very, very fine line. It's an art, so I don't know what that line is, but I feel like you should be able to, if you are able to think about these problems actively, you'll be able to make better art that will hopefully like toe this line. And I think even for the Our Fight series, like John, like, so I made this Our Fight series about mental health awareness. I think John mentioned it a bit as well. So I actually spent like a lot of sleepless nights thinking a little bit about like, not a little bit, thinking a lot about like, how am I going to be sad and be able to connect with the people who need to be connected to, like those people who are suffering from mental health illnesses, and at the same time not be too self-indulgent in the emotions, and provide a positive message of hope without it looking like I'm faking it, or like without forcing it out. So that's something that I spent a lot of time thinking about, and I think that that's a line that we have to, something that we have to consciously think about. If not, we are going to end up just like making films that perpetuate this idea that if you are mentally ill, you're beautiful, which is a very toxic idea. So I'll say that's for the media. And also there's this thing called suicide contagion. So suicide contagion is basically a phenomenon where like if people hear about suicide, or like they know about suicide or witness a suicide, or like they know their friends commit suicide, right, they are a lot more likely to commit suicide themselves. That includes like the media. If the media keeps talking about suicide, especially like these days, like the whole Hana thing, is shown that suicide numbers the people will be more likely to commit suicide after this media coverage. So I'll say there are like quite a few ways to like prevent this as a media outlet. And I think it's like something along the lines of like, be very concise, stick to the facts, don't make it like a whole big thing. And I would say also like um don't put the details of how they committed suicide. Like don't go like don't say it lah. Don't put the details because people might read it and they might actually like imitate it. These are small things can go a long way lah. And I think as a media we have to understand that we play a very big role in this conversation. And that includes me and that includes John. Especially me lah, because this is my course, right? So that includes me. And something I think about a lot as well lah. So yeah, I think that's what the media can do. And I think all in all, it's just be relatable, but don't indulge in it. I think that's the most important thing, is that don't indulge in it.
Yes.
And like, yeah, a lot of people, like I'm actually trying to do like a short film about depression. And one of the things that I set out to do when I talk to my cast members is like, I told them that like, okay, if you go and Google depression short films on YouTube right now, right, within the first 5 seconds, there's probably someone crying in the toilet, someone has like cut marks on the arm, or like someone jump off the building within the first 5 shots. I am very, very sure. And it's something that really bothered me because like, I feel like a lot of short films show this, but without a way out. So they just portray mental health without a way out. And I think as creators, as media, as people, especially like me, who have like struggled with anxiety and have gotten, I would say, and have gotten like quote unquote the better of it, right? I think it's very important to use this like experience that we have gone through to create a way out for our audience, and like create a path of like, there's a light on the there's light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's very important. Yeah. Is there anything you want to say?
No, actually.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that bothers me a lot lah. And I think about it a lot more than I should. But yeah, if you would like to find out more, go and look at our fight video. And I think I'll say that it's some of the most proud videos I've ever produced. And I think I actually went back in to prepare for this episode. I actually went back and like watched it to see whether whatever I'm saying that we should be doing, whether I myself did it. And I feel like I did quite an alright job with it lah. Like there is parts where people can relate to because it's sad and it's real. And I didn't censor any of my interviewees, so they can say whatever they want. But at the end, there's always like a little message of hope, and it's not a everything's gonna be okay, you know, 加油 kind of thing. It's a real message of hope. It's a message of understanding that your fight is valid, your fight is tough, but it's okay, and we understand there's a problem, and just keep going lah. I think that's the thing.
And I think one other important message of like hope that people must also remember, especially if you are suffering, is that people have recovered from it before. And like you too can be someone that recovers from it. So don't give up.
Yeah, I think.
And always seek help.
If you need some inspiration, I really do suggest going to the Our Fight video, because like the both of my interviewees actually have managed to get somewhat the better of their mental illnesses. They've gotten a lot better through the times, through the years. And they actually shared some of the quotes, some of the memorable lines from friends and family that helped them through their problems. And like even like, and their problems are like really, really tough. It's like the problems that I have anxiety, but like they have other problems that are very, very, very difficult to hold on to, and they actually like thought of committing suicide and all that stuff. And I have never actually did that. So like they really bet everything on video for me. And I would do suggest go and watch it, especially if you need help now. Yes. So for the last group of people, it's actually the government / people in leadership. So I will say, I don't have a lot of points for this, but I will say that there needs to be greater support for these people, especially removing the stigma. And I think, like, just not too long ago, the government passed a guideline that companies cannot ask for mental health history in job applications. And I think that's a great step forward. And it's about, like, I mean, if you don't need to know, it shouldn't matter, what? Unless you're talking about, like, people who need to, like, carry firearms, like policemen, this sort of thing. Then they want to know about whether you have, like, depressive tendencies or, like, suicidal thoughts. I guess that makes a lot more sense. But if you're, like, a regular run-of-the-mill office job, why do you need to know? Especially if the person is going through, like, it's basically functional lah.
Yeah, I also I like what you brought up, which is about the fact that, like they mentioned, you cannot bring up mental health records because because I'm glad that the government understands that a lot of times when they pull up this kind of medical or mental health records, right, it is usually with a sort of discriminatory bias.
Yeah.
It's never as if I ask for your drug allergy. It's never something like that. Yeah. Drug allergy, right? People ask, right, whether you're allergic to anything, right? It's just to make sure that you do not suffer from the allergy again. So we as a society should strive to reach the point whereby when people or employers ask you for your mental health, it ought to be on the same level as drug allergy, so that if they know that you're suffering, they call help for you and not, judge your employment based on these factors.
Right.
And nobody has ever fired another person because they're allergic to peanuts.
Wait, no one. Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, it took me a very, very long time before, like, I could confidently write I had anxiety in job application forms. Like, even for the Smart Local, actually the Smart Local was a place that, like, really provided a safe space for me lah. So when I went to interview, like, Brian Chu, the boss, he basically asked me why did I want to study psychology. And I actually straight up just said, because I have anxiety and I want to help people. And he was super cool about it. And I got hired. So, like, there needs to be more of this kind of, like situations where, like, the boss is, like, a bit more understanding and, like, doesn't view it as a problem. And I mean, really, it takes a lot of courage to really write it down and admit that you have a problem, because it normally comes with a lot of inconveniences and, like, a lot of people doubting you. Like, even for, like, NTU, I had to declare that I have anxiety, and, like, I had to, like, attach, like, a doctor's letter to say that I'm clear and I'm okay. So, like, all these sort of small things, it adds up and makes people think that, like, they're not being, like, fully respected or they're not being fully understood.
Yeah. I think it's also important to bring this point out for people who are watching. And I mean it's good to remind people that, just because someone has a mental illness, that does not define their entire character. That's not their entire person. They are not depression. Exactly. They are their own person.
I think for people with depression, you also need to know that you're not just depression, you're not just anxiety, you're not just whatever mental illness you have. You're way more than that. There's your personality is not pegged to your mental illness. And I think that's something that I personally had to learn. Like, there was a period of time where I would ask my therapist questions like, if I am cured of anxiety, right, then who am I? Like, because I feel like whatever behavior and the things I worry about is me, is my personality. So when I stop worrying about these things, then who do I become? Am I really me? And I think it's something that you just have to understand, that anxiety is not you. Your worries are not you. The reasons why you get sad or the depressive episodes are not you. You have to understand. And once you get past that, right, it gets significantly easier to be able to let go and let yourself heal. So if you do the whole, like John likes to, like, equate it to, like, physical illness, as it should be, it's like saying that a broken leg is you. It's not you. You're more than a broken leg, and you have to let yourself heal lah. So I think that's the most important thing. And the government, I mean, greater support. I mean, they're doing quite a lot of stuff as well. So, like, SCAPE actually does, like, free, if I'm not wrong, free counselling. I don't know if they still do it, but I think they do, free counseling for people who maybe you feel like therapy is like a bit too expensive for you. There's SCAPE. There's also a lot of like government policy, like initiatives like Beyond the Label, that's trying to like shed a bit more light on like these issues. But to say that we have won this fight is like far from the truth lah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just had a friend tell me that like I wanted to do an out fight video with him, but he told me that like his boss is not very welcoming of like people with mental health illnesses, and therefore he rejected to do the video. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad that people like this still exist. That people like this still like actively discriminate lah. I think it's significantly better than in the past, but it's tough lah.
It's still a long way to go lah.
There is. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that all is doom and gloom. It's not. It doesn't completely suck. We have come a long way, man. Like even the past 4 years, I've like personally seen the change in like view and like change in perspectives. But we still have a long way to go lah. There's a lot of things to do, and I think the biggest thing is especially from the leadership standpoint is be able to hire these people, be able to let them integrate back into society properly and treat them like a normal human being. I think that's the biggest thing. They're just humans at the end of the day.
Can I also just say that I feel personally I feel that I understand that how sometimes I may not suffer from any mental illness, but I feel that I understand that sometimes there's always this difficulty in approaching what seems to be an overwhelming problem. And there's always difficulty trying to find help, especially when we say that like, oh, you need to seek help from ABC organization or whatever, and then like you feel like there are so many hoops I need to jump through. Personally, I already very insecure. I don't dare to do these kind of things.
Yeah.
That's understandable. In fact, this is something that I feel every Singaporean, understands to a certain extent.
Yeah.
If ever you are uncomfortable like that, the first person I encourage you to try to refer yourself to, which will help you open a lot more doors, is not people like us. You can always try to ask your family doctor. Your family doctor will encourage you to give you their professional word, and at the same time, they'll be able to refer you immediately and accurately to the right person without you having to act.
Yes.
And I think this is something that is very important, because a lot of times people always want to tell them that, hey, we're here, our door is open, there's a lot of this, there's a lot of that. But a lot of times, I understand if you are afraid to approach a door. But I encourage you to try to see these things, see these avenues as the open doors that they are. And if you cannot, go through the most straightforward one, pretend that you have the flu and actually go and ask your local GP about it and ask him to refer you to someone who is more specialized in providing you that help.
Yeah. And I think even for me, like when I first sought help, one of the biggest reasons why I didn't want to is because telling my story, right, like hurt me. Like I dreaded telling people that I have anxiety. I dreaded telling people my story and like what I worry about. It's like every single time it's like my heart getting ripped out of my body. It really feels that bad. And I think one thing that really helped me was like when I met my psychiatrist, I just need to tell him once, he had all his notes down, and he passed the notes to the therapist, and that's it. And the therapist understands my situation, the therapist knows, and he just gets down to it already lah. Like he just get down to like healing and like trying to change my thinking and everything like that.
Yes.
But I would say, I understand if you are scared, because I was scared as well. But yeah, I think it's a two-way street, right? Like the government needs to be able to like step forward and provide easier ways to seek help, which includes the SCAPE thing, like includes the free counseling thing. But I think on the side of like the people who are mentally ill, I think if you needed a sign to go and seek help and like be not afraid, like use this as a sign and use this as a way of like motivating yourself, because if even like the people are there to help you lah. And oftentimes like therapists are people who like truly understand because they have went through it themselves as well. So like my therapist actually suffer from depression, and honestly I wouldn't be here without my therapist. Like I still talk to her to this day. If I'm feeling bad, I still like ask her for sessions and like ask her to like, hey, can I talk to you for an hour, that kind of thing. And like the last time I went to see her was in my uni sem 1. I was having such a bad time, and John knows this. I was having such a bad time, like I couldn't even imagine like surviving the next day. And then everyone was like, "Oh my god, the sem end take damn long." I'm like, I can't even imagine going through the next day, much less like the damn sem. Like the semester seems like so far off. I can't even think that I don't even think I'll be able to survive it. And I went to meet my therapist for like the first time in like a few months or like a year maybe. And then I actually I think that's like the session I cried the most in. Like I cried so much because like I felt so much relief when she tell me things like, "Oh, like you don't get good grades, then so what? You're still okay, what? Don't worry," that kind of thing. Like it suddenly when people tell me this sort of thing, it felt like a big relief, and I felt like I could fail. It felt like I was normal, and it felt like I was being accepted. And I think I think that's something that all of us want. So I would say be courageous, step up. And I mean, you can even ask your friend to follow you to a psychiatrist, which is what my friend did for me. So she followed me to a psychiatrist and went like, "Hey, I'll be there. If you need me in the room, I'll be there in the room also." Like, and as a friend, I always do this. I always like offer that. Like my friends like, "Hey, like I'm going through some bad times. Can you refer me to a psychiatrist?" I would say like, "Okay, like here's my psychiatrist. Do you want me to follow you?" And I think that's, as a friend, even if you don't understand, that's something that means a lot.
I think it's important firstly that we recognize that it is important that society opens doors. It's the responsibility of society to keep doors open. But I think it is your personal responsibility, especially if you're suffering, to walk through those doors as well. And through that you will find treatment.
I think one of the hardest things is to find treatment, and be able to admit that you have a problem, be able to be vulnerable with, like, very honestly, it's a stranger, right? You don't know who the hell this doctor is. You don't know his story. You don't know anything. So I understand that it's very, very difficult to be vulnerable. And especially in our society, like, I don't know, like for guys especially, like there's this weird stigma that if you're emotional, you're weak. Or like you cannot show signs of weakness if you are a man, like a man. So a lot of people like hold off on like seeking help, and actually there's statistics to show that people who actually males seek help way less than females, and that is something that needs to be changed lah. I think if you're a male, like, and you're suffering these problems and it's causing issues and distress in your life, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And these people, like the psychiatrists and therapists, have like a client confidentiality thing. So like they can't discuss your case with other people. They can't even talk to you with their husbands or wives. Like, it's something that's going to stay in the room, and they have probably hurt way worse than you think. So don't be self-conscious, don't be afraid, and just like take that brave step forward lah. And things will turn out well for you eventually. Yeah. And I think to wrap this all up, I think one of the last statistics that I actually found very interesting is that 50% I think this is in the US or in the world, I forgot already, but like 50% of the people have actually gone through mental health illnesses before in their life. So you are not, first of all, you're not alone. Second of all, discriminating against 50% of the population is like discriminating a population because they are female or they are male. So we all understand that discriminating against females or males is like inherently baseless. And the same for mental disorders. And I feel like mental illness or mental disorders have this very bad rep for being like a very small group of people. It's really not. There are a lot of people. So the word disorder, which means like against the order, like basically like against the normal population, is like a bit of it's not actually true, because there is a very good amount of people who are actually mentally ill. So if anything, it might be true that the mentally ill people are the majority. Who knows, man? But I think if once you understand that, I'll say just understand you're not alone. And for people who don't understand or think that it's not a problem, just think about your friends and just imagine 50% of them having depression. and statistically that's actually true lah. So yeah, I think
Mm.
that's my last message. Any other things you want to talk about, John?
No, actually, I believe we have already mentioned everything, and like I hope our message gets out there to the people who needs to hear them.
Yeah.
Especially those that don't know don't know what they don't know, and especially those that are suffering.
Mm.
So yeah, just remember that what I mentioned earlier, which is that your issues are never bigger than your life.
Mm.
And if you feel that your issues are starting to become the same size as your life, it is the time where you have to absolutely seek help now.
Mm.
And like I mentioned, if you're very overwhelmed, by the resources and everything, and then you don't know where to go, it is always safest if you don't know where to go to just approach a family doctor, because they can refer you to the right specialists. Just
Yep.
take it as like what Alistair said. You broke an arm, you need an X-ray. Not all clinics are equipped with an X-ray. They need to bring you to a hospital for an X-ray,
Mm.
and there has to be a radiologist that does that X-ray.
Mm.
Same. So
Yes.
if you feel that you're suffering from something that you cannot explain, and it's starting to consume your life, go to a doctor and ask for help. The doctor will find you someone who specializes in that.
Yeah. And with that, I'll be linking a lot of resources down below, like the SAF Counselling Hotline, SCAPE, other hotlines that you can call if you need help. I've also linked some songs that helped me through a tough time. So if you want to hear them, you can go ahead and hear them as well. And once again, if you need anyone to talk to and you feel like you cannot talk to anyone in your friend circle, you just need someone who is a stranger to talk to, you can talk to me, you can talk to John, and we'll try our best to be able to like answer you and like talk to you and be there for you as a friend. So yeah, with that, I think that's a good way to end it, right?
It is.
Fight a little longer, guys. Fight a little longer.
Stay safe during COVID.
Stay safe during COVID. Bye bye.
Bye.